All right, welcome into another episode of the Armchair Titans podcast. Austin Nelson here with my guys, Brett Batchelor, Noah McKay, Trey Watkins. Again, hey, if you don't follow us on Twitter, please do at Armchair Tighten Up, and then get us on Facebook too, Armchair Tennessee Titans. What's up, fellas?
What's up, boys? How we doing?
What's up, everybody?
Well, guys, we are joined by the one and only. If you haven't seen him on Twitter, it would be very surprising. I mean, Johnny's up and down my timeline. But Johnny Kinsley is with us. He's at Brickwall Blitz. What's up, Johnny?
Not a whole lot. Just I went to an outlet shop today. Got a sports jacket that was $58.
What is
so that defined my day today. But other than that, I'm doing pretty good. I'm on vacation right now. I'm at a lodge. I'm here till Saturday, so just living the life right now. I'm not working right now.
Well, good for you, dude.
Yeah.
I feel like we're all on vacation right now because football's back. I mean, training camps opened up today, so it's a lot. I have NFL Network on right now, just watching Jimmy G and the Niners. But it's just nice to finally see football back and practicing and pads on and things like that. The Titans opened camp today, and Brett, you were there, man. Just off the top of your head, just mention some stuff you saw today. What did you notice?
Defense looked a little bit better than the offense. Offense still looked okay. Offense was still solid, but the defense was just a little bit quicker, popped off the ball a little bit more. The D-backs played fantastic. I think that's what we're all looking for. And a good thing to look at the fact of anytime there's a good play that was made, the rest of the team was in there immediately within 5 seconds around the other guys who's made the good play. So it was very team-oriented today. And one of the things that I noticed that I did like too is the players would all sit there with their coaches with their position coaches for about 10 minutes, and then the horn would blow, and they'd go do team drills for 10, 15 minutes, and the horn would blow. They'd go right back to doing their individual drills. So it was good, I guess, time-based oriented drills so they could break it up and work on multiple things at different times.
That's awesome. So something we saw on Twitter what happened today was this little incident with Taylor Lewan. What did you notice about that?
So they were doing this was right here. This was like 5 yards in front of me when it happened. So the O-line coach, Coach Curtis, was sitting right there, and he took some of the O-linemen, and they were having to just pretend to be D-linemen and not do a whole lot, but just stand there and try and get in the way of the offensive linemen while they were trying to do a certain drill. And I guess Taylor Lewan wasn't doing it the way that Coach Curtis wanted him to do it. So Coach started getting onto him a little bit. And Coach said, hey, all right, give me somebody else. If Taylor's not going to do it right, give me somebody else. And Taylor wanted to do another one. So Coach was like, all right, you got one more. And so Coach blew the whistle, and then Taylor just jumped on the ground and then just flopped and started rolling around. He didn't really roll around, but he just jumped straight up in the air and just fell straight to the ground and just flopped. I guess he was upset with Coach. The coach was upset with him, and Taylor pretty much gave no effort on that play. And it was almost kind of like a, look, I'm going to do whatever I want type thing. So as soon as Taylor jumped up the air and flopped and didn't do anything on that drill, Coach blew the whistle again and said, give me somebody else right here. Taylor, get out of here. I don't need you if you're going to do stuff like that. But then after practice, they talked about it. And I saw Taylor after practice. I didn't get to talk to him, but I saw him after practice. He was in a good mood, and he didn't seem like there was a problem after him and Coach Curtis talked it out once the drill was over.
Yeah, he just kind of seemed in a smart-ass mood all day today.
He was a little bit.
Just kind of a jackass. I have no idea if it's anything about the contract situation going on, but it speaks volume about him as a player and a person to be out there, even though all that's going on, to him skip OTAs, things like that. He kind of hit on that in some interviews after practice that I saw. But it's just he knows he needs to be out there with the new coaching staff, a new offense. The contract's going to play on itself. He's going to get paid. And it's coming
right. That's part of what he said. That's part of what he said too. I mean, after the day was over, practice, and I think that we picked up on, like you said, Taylor was there the whole day, but he didn't participate in any team activities. He only did the individual drills with the position coaches and stuff like that. So a lot of people are speculating, hey, maybe he doesn't want to get hurt because he wants the money, or maybe he's just going to wait for the contract to get resolved. But Taylor himself said he has an obligation to be here with the team no matter what.
Johnny, we can talk about training camp forever, but let's not, because it's only day one. We can't get too over exaggerated about one day of training camp, the oohs and the ahs of a Corey Davis catch and things like that. That's going to happen all season. But Johnny, on a overview of what the Titans have done over the season, what the off season, what do you like about the new offense and defense? I mean, what are your expectations from them?
Well, personally, I loved that they acquired Deion Lewis because I wrote for Music City Miracles that he was my number one running back in the off season. And I actually think he's a perfect complement to Derrick Henry. I got notes like right here. So for me, one of the biggest problems that I saw with the Titans offense last year was the receivers, like their backs were not involved in the receiving game at all. In fact, they had a combined 402 yards in the receiving game, which was actually dead last in the league. Lower than guys like teams like Tampa Bay, lower than teams like Seattle, even teams like the Giants, which actually blew my mind. Kind of makes sense because Henry was he only had 11 receptions out of the backfield, and I believe one of them was a 66-yard touchdown in Week 17 against the Jaguars. So I love that they got Lewis because he's a perfect third down back, so that Derrick Henry can be a first and second down back, and they can put Lewis out in the slot and outside of the backfield because he's extremely nimble. He's ridiculously quick. Can find all sorts of holes. And honestly, you could make a case that they can be a top 5, top 3 duo.
I agree.
Right now, I only think there's 2 running back duos that are better than Deion Lewis and Derrick Henry, and those guys are Mark Ingram and Alvin Kamara, and then Devontae Freeman and Tevin Coleman. Those guys, I would say, disputably are better. I might put Jordan Howard and Tariq Cohen above them, but I'm not 100% certain. So I think that could be a really good combo. I did like that they got Malcolm Butler. I think he could be an upgrade at cornerback. Yeah, didn't they got another cornerback or defensive back? I think. Like, who was he?
So they drafted Dan Cruikshank. They also signed. Help me out, fellas.
That was it in the defensive backfield.
Yeah.
That was it.
Yeah, they got it was huge because they got rid of Bryce McCain, and then they moved LaShawn Sims over.
And Denoris seriously left and went to Carolina.
Yeah. So they lost 2 players, but they upgraded on those 2 players, I think, indisputably.
Right. Also in the draft, I was really impressed with what they did in the first and second round, getting Rashaan Evans and Harold Landry. I thought they made a great selection by choosing to draft Evans, and initially I was surprised, but when I went back to watch him, I realized why they did it, and it was extremely worth it because he's an extremely gifted linebacker that is incredibly dangerous as a pass rusher and against the run, and he's in complete control of his speed. He's patient. He has quick movement. Can elude blockers easily. Has got a spin move that honestly reminds me of defensive ends like Dwight Freeney and Everson Griffin. So I think one thing he has to improve is tackling, because I saw like a few plays where he was tackling a little bit high and it slipped occasionally. But if he does that, he's going to be a phenomenal player. And I think he's a guy that will have no problem starting day one. Harold Landry was another guy that I really loved. And I also wrote an article saying that they should draft Landry, and they ended up doing that. It was an absolute robbery. They got Evans and Landry in the same draft, which was unreal.
It's still hard to believe.
It's crazy.
Yeah. I could not believe, like, how does that happen? Personally, for me, what makes Landry so enticing as a prospect was that he was extremely dominant as both an outside linebacker and as a defensive end, which means he was extremely versatile and could be moved around anywhere. So he lacks overwhelming power, but what he lacks in that, he easily makes up for elsewhere because he's got incredible agility, has a great burst, which allows him to get to the quarterback in the blink of an eye. And the best part of this is he actually combines a high level of velocity while he's pressuring the quarterback, excellent balance, so his speed doesn't wear down when adjusting to an angle. So Evans is obviously going to be a day one starter. Landry for sure should be a day one starter. And that front seven is going to include Rashaan Evans, Harold Landry, Brian Orakpo, and Jarrell Casey. And I think it's going to be a massive upgrade from what we saw in 2017.
I'm not sure if Landry is a day one starter. I think Derek Morgan starts over him on the outside.
But
they run 3 linebackers.
I mean, I wouldn't even call anybody a starter.
I don't know.
It'd be a huge rotation.
Yeah. It's like Brian Orakpo was saying yesterday. It's not if he plays. He said if he plays 20 snaps, it's a good day for him. I mean, it's going to be like that. So that's going to be the goal for the team. I mean, it's going to be by committee on the front seven.
They're going to gradually inch Landry in towards being that starter for maybe next year, season after that. But for this year, I see him as a rotation guy coming in as an extra package guy in third down. Whatever.
Absolutely. I think you'll see 2 things. I think you'll see a lot of Evans rushing 2 this season. I think he did a ton in college. And then also I think we'll see a lot of Titans riders from around here give us the Harold Landry will lead the team in sacks hot takes this season. So be on the lookout for that. I'm not saying we'll do it, but I'm just saying I'm sure from people. Something else I want y'all to kind of hit on. Derrick Henry had an interesting quote today, I think, from it might have been yesterday, that he wanted to be a premier back in this league. Now, we know Derrick Henry is probably one of, if not the top, 10 maybe greatest college running backs of all time. What he did in college was unparalleled to anything. It was stupid. And it still blows my mind that the Titans got him in the second round. But when he says premier, I'm thinking like a top 10 back. Could Derrick Henry ever be a top 10 back in this league?
I mean, I want to say yes, but I mean, I think you have to wait until at least you see a year of full production from Derrick Henry. Because when you say premier back in the league, you think of guys like Devontae Freeman, Le'Veon Bell, David Johnson, Todd Gurley, guys like that. Derrick Henry's not a part of those guys yet. But that's also because Derrick Henry's been behind DeMarco Murray for 2 years when in Derrick's rookie season, DeMarco was still a premier back the way that he was playing. So I think, dude, you have to wait until at least this year is over before you can even consider putting him in that category.
When Derrick Henry is running downfield and downhill, he can be a top 10 back. But it's all up to he has to learn that running east to west is not good. And like that was a huge problem. When he's running north and south, I mean, he's a freight train. He's getting 4 yards a carry at least. But it has to be a mental thing with him that he has to realize what kind of running back he has to be. And if he embraces that, then he can definitely be a top 10 back. Also, he has to be able to get the carries because I'm not convinced that Deion Lewis is just going to be a third down back. If you look at LaFleur's past, he loves backs like that out of the backfield to use them on first and second down. I think we're going to see a lot of 2-back sets as well. We're going to see a whole lot less 3 tight end sets, and instead we're going to see 2-back sets out of the backfield.
In terms of being a top 10 back, maybe, but I know he has the body and the track record to be a workhorse back. We've seen that stuff at Alabama when, like you said, Brad, his numbers were just out of this world when he was getting a good 20, 30 carries a game. Like you said, Deion Lewis, I don't think is just going to be just a third down running back because what are they paying him? Like $19 million over 4 years? He's not going to just get paid that money just coming to be a third down back. I think the carries are going to be split more towards evenly. I don't know if it's going to maybe be 50-50. If I could guess, maybe 60-40, maybe in terms of carry ratio. But in terms of being a top 10 back, maybe Derrick Henry can eclipse that, but I don't know.
Well, that's why I don't know if Derrick Henry – and I'm not saying that he will, I'm not saying that he won't, but I don't know if he'll start all 16 games this season. And I say that because of what we were just saying. They brought Deion Lewis here for a reason. And when you bring in teams like New England and Philadelphia, both come to Nashville this year. They're both coming here. Those are games where you're going to want to get started off very hot, very fast. And we know that historically the Titans are not a good team when they fall behind early in football games. So I feel like in games like that, when you bring Philly and New England to Nashville like that right there, those are games where the Titans get the ball first. They're going to push it down the field and score first, and that's when you spread out the offense quick and start with Deion Lewis in the backfield in the game, and then maybe transition back into a guy like Derrick Henry.
You can just slow that defense down and just secure that win.
All right, so Johnny, we talked about it last week on the podcast. We had our friend Matt Neely on the podcast. We kind of did our game-by-game predictions for the Titans this season. If you just had to predict in just a couple minutes, what would you say the Titans go this season, the record-wise?
I think a record of 9-7 isn't something that's far off. I mean, they went 9-7 with a roster that was coached by Mike Mularkey. So, like Matt Buffer is probably going to be a better offensive coordinator than Mike Mularkey. It's not a high bar at all. If you go 9-7 with Mike Mularkey, you can sure as hell go 9-7 with Matt Buffer as your offensive coordinator. So, I think anywhere between 9, 10, 11 wins. I think that's the ceiling. I think 11 wins is the ceiling for them.
We came up with 5.
Oh, I disagree. I think 11 is not the ceiling at all when you look at the schedule. I think 11 is if they win all the games they should win. The games where they're clearly more talented than the other team, that's 11 games right there.
And we say that
if we're
which to me means the ceiling isn't there. I think the floor for this team should be 9-7, and then I think 11-5 is not out of the realm of possibility at all. I think 9-7. Of course, given it depends on what happens during the season. There's all these things that could transpire. Marcus Mariota could get hurt. Things could happen, and that changes things. But assuming everybody stays healthy, I think 9-7 is going to be a little disappointing for people because you fired Mike Mularkey for going 9-7 and going to the playoffs. I
think, like you said, 9-7 would be kind of disappointing, but I can see this floor being 9. And I can see it being more like the floor being more towards 10, only because the receivers are a little bit unproven. You're going into the season right now with Corey. You're expecting Corey Davis to have a jump back or a bounce back year, and that's not all guaranteed. And Rashard Matthews isn't a number 1 wide receiver; he's a number 2 possession type receiver. Taywan Taylor has some issues with contested catches and maybe not being the used way, but not being as consistent as Rashard or not being as consistent as Rashard and Corey Davis to get those snaps. So I don't know if those receivers can, perform the way we want them to and expect them to get this team up to 11 wins and win a division. Then I'll lean towards 11 wins. But right now for me, I would lean towards 10-6.
Well, looking at the schedule purely, I mean, the schedule is easier based on last year's records than the schedule was last year. Albeit there's a couple of bigger names on it. There's the Eagles on it. There's the Patriots on it as well. But the schedule is easier. The offense last year was garbage, guys. I mean, it was bad. Terry Robisky was one of the worst offensive coordinators I've ever seen play calling wise. I mean, it was bad. Delaney Walker running jet sweeps on the 1-yard line. It's just awful. And it's going to be very hard. And they still went 9-7 and won a playoff game. I think the defensive secondary has gotten better. The front 7 has gotten better. The schedule is easier this year. 9-7 is going to be hard to swallow for some people. They're going to have to be better than 9-7.
I agree with that.
That's what you were saying a second ago, though, Noah, about that's why Mularkey was fired. Yeah. Mularkey would still be this head coach today, as we're speaking, if he would have changed the offense and if he would have fired Terry Robisky. He would still be the head coach. Yep. So it's not necessarily – he was not necessarily fired for going 9-7.
No.
He was fired for sticking to his best friend. Nobody knows the reason why except Mike Mularkey.
But here's the thing: if they had gone 12-4 last season, nobody would have asked him to fire Terry Robisky.
We would have gone 12-4 because we would have gone 12-4 if the offense was better. But the offense wasn't.
And that's Mularkey's fault for not wanting to change. They went 9-7, and then Mularkey didn't want to change things.
Exactly, I know.
And so, by extension, I think if you go 9-7 again, especially if the offense doesn't take a step forward, or if Mariota doesn't take a big step forward, I think there's going to be a lot of people with big question marks around what's going on with this team. With the amount of talent, especially the defensive side of the ball has gotten better. I think we all agree on that. I mean, there's question marks at the wide receiving core, but that defense is stacked now. I mean, 9-7 again, 3 years in a row. It's going to be Titans Twitter is going to be in peak form if they go 9-7 again.
If this team was to go 9-7, then it would be in the way of this defense carrying this team the whole year.
Yeah.
If we're going to go 9-7,
hold on. I would think it's the opposite.
Really?
I'm just saying you have a new coordinator. You have young wide receivers. They, like I said, expecting to have a bounce back year. I'm just saying it just seems like there's more question marks surrounding the offense than the defense.
I'm more leery of Dean Pease than I am out on the floor.
Really?
I can understand why you say that because
I can see that too. If you have those fears, I can see that.
I'm more confident in the defensive personnel though. I think at some point on defense it's more important. The personnel is more important than the system than on the offensive side of the ball. Right? I think you need better playmakers on defense. If you have a good enough system on the offensive side of the ball, you can win games. Mm-hmm. Even with look at the Patriots. Their system is amazing. Their wide receivers are freaking junior high kids every year.
Lacrosse.
But on defense, this defense has playmakers all over the place. So I think if they went 9-7 again, it's because the offense didn't take a step forward, and then the defense kept them in games.
That's fair.
That's why I don't think they're. I don't think they're going to go 9-7 because like as long as the offense has if it gives Mariota like a whole lot of breathing room, that's going to allow him to carry the Titans' offense. It's going to allow it's definitely going to allow him to win like more than 9 games,
especially with this schedule.
I think a lot to do with the team staying healthy. I mean, I'm a huge believer in you got to stay healthy to win games. Let's say, for example, let's say Corey Davis goes down, tweaks an ankle or something in week 3. All of a sudden, Rashard Matthew tweaks a hammy or something. You're down your 2 top receivers.
Des Bryant.
No, it's just
if that happens,
I'm circling around. I'm circling around that here in a second. I'm going to ask Johnny about that. But are those 2, 3, 4 losses in a row? Like, I mean, what happens to the offense then? You're screwed. You're gonna have to rely on the running game, the Jonnu Smith, the Lenny Walker duo. I mean, it's
who's gonna be your spot guy now? If like let's say Corey Davis gets
Tajay
hurt,
Sharp.
Gonna put Taywan Taylor outside, man.
Tajay Sharp goes outside. I don't think that's a
have to go outside.
I think Tajay Sharp is capable of playing an outside receiver in this league.
I don't know if Tajay Sharp is fast enough to be an outside receiver though.
I'm talking about, I think it was that 2016 season. Tajay Sharp had that success before. I believe it was the bye week, but pre-bye week he had tons of success. But after that, teams were playing a lot of press coverage against him, and primarily worked because Tajay Sharp isn't all that fast, man. He's a route runner.
Let me ask you this though. Do you think that Rashard Matthews is that much faster than Tajay Sharp is? I don't.
No.
Okay, maybe about like a step or 2.
Yeah, but I don't think it's this huge noticeable gap. I think if Tajay Sharp with another year of practice and another offseason with Marcus Mariota, I think he is capable. Now, I think if Tajay Sharp's playing on the outside, something's gone wrong.
Yes.
Something's gone seriously wrong. I think his best spot is in the slot, but I don't think he's incapable.
But I think you'll see a lot of forward guys around. So I think you'll see it more times than not. I think with everybody, not just Tajay, with every guy on the team, honestly. Again, we're with Johnny Kinsley. Follow him on Twitter at BrickwallBlick. Johnny, so I saw you tweet about this today, and then I saw it on Twitter as well, and I think it is fascinating. This Khalil Mack news. Have you guys seen this?
Yes.
Yeah.
He's not talked, not contacted, nothing with John Gruden yet. And John Gruden's been a coach for how many months?
What has it been like?
7 months now?
5 months?
6 months. 6 months.
And you have
6 months, yeah.
Arguably your best player on your team.
Probably your best player.
Problem.
Yeah.
Huge problem. So what do y'all think about that?
I mean,
could you imagine? This is perspective. Could you imagine if Mike Vrabel getting the job and he hadn't said one word to Marcus Mariota?
Fire him. Fire him.
Gone.
Dude, look, I don't understand. I know people are all high on John Gruden and everything like that, but I don't understand what he's doing so far because he still thinks it's old school football, and it's not. He got rid of Marquette King because of the vibe that he brought, and Marquette King's one of the, if not the best. Okay, he's not the best punter. He's the top 5 punter in the league, and now you're not talking to your best player on your team, and all Khalil Mack wants is a new deal. They can give Khalil Mack that deal. Khalil Mack should be getting the money that they gave Derek Carr.
Exactly.
So I mean, I don't understand what
all
he's
the
doing.
money.
All the money. I agree.
All the money.
All the money.
I think Derek Carr is slightly overrated, and I also think Ravens suck for years. I don't think they'll be good for a little bit.
No.
I think your dog thinks he's extremely overrated.
Yeah, dude. Nash is bad. I'm hanging at my sister's house tonight. They're in Atlanta actually for a Braves game, and I'm dog sitting. So my boy Nash here is he's not having it tonight.
Nah.
I think Jack Del Rio got short end of the stick.
I agree.
He did.
That roster, their secondary sucks.
It's bad.
It's bad. Ask anybody to name. I mean, even hardcore football fans to name 2 players in Oakland secondary.
Sean Smith and
there's that guy out of Ohio State.
Yeah, that guy out of Ohio State. I mean, that's how bad it is.
Oh, Gary.
And we do this.
He didn't even play last year, did he?
And we break down football for hours, and we don't know these players. I mean that, and they fired him. What was their record? 6-10.
6
I think it was 4.
Yeah, they gave him an awful roster. That's what happens. I mean, what do you? You're not going to win games. You can't just pull it out of a hat and be like, "Oh, here's 10 wins."
And
for
look,
you.
no disrespect, but Marshawn Lynch is not what he used to be. So you can't be using him as your every down back like you used to.
Nope.
And it doesn't help when John Gruden is trying to bring players out of retirement homes to play roles on
Well, and look,
a good team, man.
Michael Crabtree is not your number one guy anymore, but he still produces.
He gone.
I mean, it seemed like these past couple years, Michael Crabtree, every single time the Raiders came to Nashville, ate up our defense.
He definitely did. That's
every single time.
Michael Crabtree cost me quite a few fantasy football.
So
I mean,
so you let him go.
Dave here, man.
You let Crabtree go to Baltimore, and then you let Marquette King go, and now you're not even talking to Khalil Mack. I don't understand what's going on in Oakland. Which is,
and then you sign Jordy Nelson, who's coming off of ACL tear he had in 2015. I think he's 32 or 33 years old, and after his contract expires, he's going to be 34 or 35. Awesome.
And they're about to move.
Why just being green and yellow for the rest of his career?
He's over 40. He's the perfect receiver for John Gruden's offense.
Yeah. So the Raiders, man, there are some ish right now. All right. So no, you kind of just hit on about the Dez thing. I don't feel like getting the Titans. I don't want. That's not what I'm getting at. Is the Titans Dez talk. I don't want to talk about that again. But what I do want to get at is that I think it's wild that Dez is still not signed. Now, for whatever reason, I still think Dez has got something left in the tank. I don't think he is what he once was. But Johnny, answer this for me first, and we'll kind of go around the horn. But where do you think, if you had to predict one team, where do you think Dez ends up? And is it before or after training camp?
I think it's after training camp. I think if there's a team that signs Dez Bryant, it's going to be the Browns.
You really think so?
Well, I mean, he's linked to them. He was talking about him today. They were talking about being interested in signing him, but
dude,
I don't know.
The Browns would have a hell of a Madden roster.
Well, and did you see who the Browns talked to today?
No, who's that?
Little Pac-Man Jones.
Yeah.
And he's been invited to a training camp, not to participate in the training camp, but to take a visit at their training camp, which Dez was not included in.
That's kind of like
Earl Thomas in Cleveland last year. I mean, yesterday. Not last year.
Yeah, you guys aren't gonna like who I think is coming. Who I think Dez is gonna go. You're not gonna like it at all.
Here.
Okay, so let me put it this way. If you would have asked me 2 weeks ago, I would have said there's no way. I hate it, right? I said that, and I do not want Dez Bryant to be a Titan. But Corey Davis, we talked about the question marks. He had 2 drops today that apparently were pretty brutal. He did make the incredible – Hang on.
It's training camp, man.
This is an if.
Come on.
Okay? If Dez Bryant does not get signed, and if Corey Davis does not make a noticeable jump in his second year in the league, it would not shock me if they signed him on a 1-year contract.
But here's the thing, though. You can't. So when do you sign Dez Bryant? Like, are you waiting after the 4th preseason?
You're waiting to see.
Week 3 preseason.
I think if Corey Davis is not taking a noticeable jump by week 3 of the preseason, it would not surprise me if they say, okay, he needs another year to develop and not have the spotlight just firmly on him. We need to bring in somebody else. Who's the best guy out there that we could bring in? Oh, yeah, it's Dez Bryant that can fill that role. Even I don't think he'd be good. I could see the logic behind why they would do it. Now, if Corey Davis just turns it on, right, and just becomes who we think he can become, or at least starts to look like he could, I don't think there's any reason for it. But it would not shock me.
I think Vrabel and Robinson will just rock with what they got. I don't know if it. I think Dez will be signed before they even get to the point of
that's possible.
We're bringing somebody new. But I just think Robinson and Vrabel trust who they have, even LaFleur. I think they trust who they have on the offense. And fingers crossed for no injury, fingers crossed for a setback. I think they're all ready to take the next step, and Corey Davis is too. I mean, we've seen that.
I think he is. I'm just saying if he does it, it would not surprise me if does. And I'm not saying that they would give up on Corey Davis. I'm saying they could say, okay, we can give him a year to develop further without having to be that guy, the number 1 wide receiver. He doesn't have to be that guy. He can develop. He can learn the route tree. He can learn everything that he needs to do. He can learn how to be a pro at this level, fully healthy for a year. And then we give him the keys to the offense while still having a deep threat. And I think that deep threat would be Dez.
The only reason I could see Dez Bryant being signed is if an injury happens to an important receiver on another team. Now, nothing to like put on Dez, but he wasn't the same after that foot injury, and I don't think
nobody is.
And I don't think they want to take a chance on his form after that foot injury and his attitude when it
i.e.
comes.
Kevin Dodd.
Yeah. So, and plus with the teams that are linked to him, what were the teams that are linked to him? Green Bay, they got Devontae Adams on the outside, and they still have Randall Cobb. So I don't see that there. With the Browns, they got Jarvis Landry, Josh Gordon. Well, I don't know if Josh Gordon's going to be back by then. You never know with what he said earlier this week. But they have Josh Gordon, Jarvis Landry, and Corey Coleman on there. And with the Titans, they got Rashard.
David Njoku.
Yeah.
All right, but let's do this. Let's do this game though. So I think we're all in agreement that he's not who he used to be. But let's say he can be serviceable as a wide receiver, right? He's not going to get 1,000 yards, but he can. Hang on. So let me get this out. Is it not intriguing, the wide receiving core of Dez Bryant, Corey Davis, Rashard Matthews?
Hell yeah, that's intriguing.
I'm just saying. I don't think it. I'm saying if he comes in, right, he does a visit and he impresses people and he looks like he has a burst and he actually has a decent attitude, which we've not seen any evidence of. But if he does,
that is the off the field, the characters. What's more important than anything?
Bring him to Nashville.
Yeah, bring him in.
Bring him in. Would it not be cool to be down there on the goal line and see Marcus under shotgun or under center, take a little snap and throw a quick fade to a tall Dez Bryant?
How do you defend?
You go from 8
on each side.
You go from 8 to 8 for a touchdown throughout the season. I am all for that.
How do you defend?
And plus,
Corey Davis and Dez Bryant running fade routes in the end zone.
Here's the thing.
You know how you defend that?
He would be a good option in the red zone. But the way the Titans are designed, they're going for a more modern yards after the catch approach because they got guys like Corey Davis, who is really good at getting yards after the catch. A guy like Taylor, who definitely has the speed to get yards after the catch. So Dez Bryant has never been a guy that you would trust to get your yards after the catch. He's a guy that you would trust to go up and get contested catches. He's a guy you would trust to run the fade option in the red zone. So he would definitely be a really good red zone option. But
dude, it all comes down to the Titans trust Corey Davis this season to be that guy, to play the role of red zone target. Can he make the catches where it's necessary? Has he taken the step? Because last year we saw he had a couple chances and he choked them. I mean, the play that sticks out in my mind is where he dives at the end zone and chucks the ball up into the air and fumbles on the 1 yard line. I mean, and don't forget about the play in Kansas City where he's running and Marcus puts it right where it's supposed to be and he doesn't even look up at it. And it's just, I mean, it's an easy 6. I think that Davis is going to evolve into that number 1 wide receiver. Yeah. I also think the Titans have a talented enough roster where they need to be kind of thinking, hey, we can win now. And what do we need to do to win now? Is he there yet this year?
Yeah.
I think it's something that's going to be considered, at least considered.
I'm just saying, Dez Bryant, the Titans play in Dallas on Monday Night Football later on this year. So, I mean, it'll be a good storyline for him to be on the Titans and have just like a monster game on national TV and just sticking it to the Cowboys.
But it all comes down to the fact if he comes on a visit and John Robinson and Mike Vrabel believe that he is actually about the team, which he's never been about in his career. But has nobody talking to him for 6 months changed that? I mean, that can check your ego real quick.
See, to what you were saying about, you said if you put Corey and a guy like Dez on the outside, who would stop that? 2 guys would stop that. In my mind, first 2 guys come to mind. The best cornerback duo in the league, A.J. Boye and Jalen Ramsey, both because they're very physical. And like to what Johnny was saying, Dez wouldn't fit in the scheme because you need quicker guys like Taywan, like Tajay, Rashard, and all them to burn past those guys, which I think works better against those guys.
So we talk about that, and I agree with you. But then who guards Rashard Matthews and Delaney Walker?
Have you seen the Jags defense?
Delaney Walker feasts on the Jag defense. They can't handle those vertical routes by the tight ends. He feasts on them every time they play. And then, by the way, they have Deion Lewis and Derrick Henry. Another weapon that they have to guard, that secondary has to guard, is not a bad thing. Look, right? If you take A.J. Bouye out of the play, I'll take that every time.
All right.
I am for –
the Titans will play this year.
Say what?
Also, 15 more teams the Titans will play this year.
Exactly.
Sure.
Exactly.
Well, 14. Yeah.
If the Titans want to bring Dez in, look, I am all for it. Do I think it'll happen? No. And Dez, honestly, I think Dez will go anywhere to a team that signs him. Because remember, when he was first released, Dez said, I want to go to an NFC East team that I can play twice, so I can go back and play Dallas twice a year. Then a couple weeks later, somebody asked him on Instagram, Dez, where do you want to go? He commented 49ers and then deleted it immediately. And now they're talking about him going to the Browns. So really, I think whoever signs him, Dez doesn't care. He just wants to play.
Yeah. All right. So Again, we're with Johnny Kinsley at Brickwall Blitz on Twitter. You got to give him a follow. A lot of good stuff on there. So, Johnny, like I told you, we have one question of the week each and every week. Last week we did, I think, favorite action movie and superhero. The week before that, favorite concession food, just different stuff like that. This week, I think, is a hell of a question. If you had to drink one beer, not even one beer, if you had to drink many beers with an NFL athlete, who would it be? And Trey, you can't chime in because you're like 13, so don't.
Yeah, you know what? You know what? Bro.
This is the big boy group. No, I'm just messing. I'll start. There's a lot of guys you can name. First one that comes to mind is Taylor Lewan, just because.
Yeah, that was the first thing came to my mind.
Then you can go around the league, and I think Tom Brady would be fun to drink a beer with. If you guys have ever seen that story on ESPN where they were like in Buffalo and he chugged like 18 beers or something with the it's something crazy like that. So I know he'd be fun to drink a beer with. We might not drink beer, maybe like Hennessy, but Marshawn Lynch would be fun to drink. So there's a lot of dudes. I just can't name one guy because there's a lot. I think Baker Mayfield would be fun to drink a beer with.
You're going for all the wild guys.
But they'd be fun though. Like you would get stories out of these guys. That's what makes it more fun.
If you went with Gronk, you wouldn't even remember the story.
That's my guy.
Gronk's a good one. Like
that was literally my answer.
What about Jason Kelsey, man?
Hang on.
Oh my God, yes.
Go
That
ahead,
guy
Johnny.
would be a riot drunk.
I like that.
Absolute riot.
Apparently, Jimmy G has connections, so I guess him.
Speaking of Jimmy G, did y'all see who he's dating now?
Yeah,
That's what I mean by connection.
Yeah.
Was he dating or was it just a date?
I heard this. Well, I mean, after their date, she came back out and said they're gonna have a great season and stuff like that. So I mean, it might be a little bit more than just one thing.
49ers go 5-11.
I don't know. I hope it's not like Tristan Thompson and Khloe Kardashian, where Tristan Thompson cursed all the Cavs by absolutely sucking.
Exactly.
Yeah.
Exactly.
So,
I'm not.
Story that will happen to the 49ers.
No. All right, Brett.
Gronkowski's my guy.
Gronkowski. I'm going Travis Kelce, tight end from the Chiefs.
That's a good one.
Wrong, Kelsey.
You took mine.
I'm trying to think, like, man, I don't know. I was just trying to think of all the guys. Because if you go Titans, Taylor Lewan, I think is who most people would say.
I would say so too.
But I would go Travis Kelce. I think Aaron Rodgers would be cool. I don't think Aaron Rodgers would be a guy to go like out to a club. He'd be a guy to like you sit down at a bar and just have a conversation with and do stuff like that. But first, obviously, mine would be Travis Kelce.
Johnny, who'd you say?
Gronkowski.
That's
No hesitation.
Yeah, that's a pretty good one.
Rob Gronkowski.
It's hard to disagree with that. All right, Trey. When you're like in 7 years, when you're able to drive to, who are you drinking a beer with, bud?
You've been on me way too much.
We got to.
You've been on me way too much. Like, okay, one person I would probably say Jason Kelsey. Just imagine that Eagles rant just in a bar.
Okay, but
like,
before that though, did nobody really care who Jason Kelsey was?
No.
Kind of. Maybe.
I don't know.
Oh, hey, you know what another good one might be? And I might get some hate for it, but it would be pretty sick to sit down and have a drink with Jay Cutler.
Oh, that's a great one.
Jay
That would
Cutler
not be a bad option at all.
Jay
Have you
Cutler
seen
would
what
be
he's doing on
sweet.
reality TV?
Oh,
Yeah.
Like he wouldn't give
Better bring a cigarette with that though.
I'm changing my answer. Put Jay Cutler at the top of the list.
It's still Gronkowski for me, but Jay Cutler is a close second.
That's a good one, Brett.
That's a good one, man.
All right, Noah, who'd you say?
So I was gonna say Travis Kelce. I actually think this may get hate from sometimes. I think J.J. Watt would be cool. I think
I thought about him too. I didn't want to say it.
I think he's a really cool.
Yeah, I can see it.
Like Blake Bortles or something.
Blake Bortles. Blake Bortles.
Go around. Let's just do the opposite. Who's one guy you would just, if you had a drink of beer with him, you would just hate your life? I'd go Joe Flacco.
Oh wow.
Well, who would you not want to drink
Who
with?
would you not? If you were sitting down drinking a beer with somebody and you're like, dude, I stop talking to me. I'd say Joe Flacco. He'd probably talk to us about his feelings, man. How the defense. I wanted to go. The defense did what I did.
Oh,
Elite quarterback,
man.
This is easy. Andrew Luck. I hate Andrew Luck with a passion. Burning passion.
It's a good one. I
Don't ever talk to me.
Bro, that man would talk you to sleep, man. Oh my god.
Blake, look,
Sasquatch looking.
look, I don't know, because there are no guys in the league that I really hate. Really, I don't know why. I don't. But a guy that I probably wouldn't want to have a drink with, and I know that if I did, I'd probably end up in jail the same night, would be Pac-Man Jones or Aqib Talib.
Yeah, you'd be.
Don't put me with a drink in my hand around those two guys because I will end up in a horrible situation.
Johnny, who would you say?
This is kind of this might be inappropriate. Jameis Winston or Ben Roethlisberger.
Oh.
Definitely do not want to drink with either one of those guys.
Bad things happen. Yeah, different types of bad things happen.
That's good. That's good.
Well, you'd have all that would happen with Tom Brady is he deflates balls.
You would have plenty of time to do it with Jameis Winston since he's not going to be playing football.
Yes,
True.
Good job, Noah. Good job.
You would catch a heavy bar tab and a felony.
Yeah.
For sure.
One of those three guys.
All right, well, hey, another good episode. We appreciate you listening. Again, follow us on Twitter at Armchair Tighten Up, and then on Facebook, Armchair Tennessee Titans. Johnny, man, thank you for hopping on with us, man. We appreciate you.
Appreciate that.
Appreciate it, guys. Thanks so much.
No problem. All right, as always, guys, hey, we'll hop on next week and talk more Titans. How many more days till preseason? August 9th, first game?
Sure.
Yeah.
I think so, in Pittsburgh. Right, or Lambeau?
Lambeau.
Right, yeah.
Pittsburgh.
All right, guys, tighten up.
Tighten up.
I know.
Tighten up.
Tighten up.